Welcome back to Quantum Habits. Today, we are reviewing 7 habits of highly effective people. We will be reviewing habits 6 and 7. And the 6th habit is synergized. So, how does synergy work? I heard a great story that highlights this concept of synergy. So, I'm going to go through that story first, and then after that, I'll get into the insights that I got from this habit. There are 2 guys working in an office. This guy always wants the window open and the other guy always wants the window closed. So every day, this guy walks in and he opens the windows, and when the other guy walks in, he closes the windows. 10 minutes later, one of the guys stands up and opens the window. You can see where I'm going with this. So basically, this just turns into a big ego trip and both of the men are just trying to get their own way each day. Now, if you're looking at this from the outside, you're probably thinking there really are only 2 options. Either the window is open or the window is closed. And you could also come from it from a compromised position, whereby it's only open half the time or it's only open halfway. However, if you recall from habits 4 and 5, we don't want to make a compromise. A compromise is not what we are looking for. So, what can we do next? Well, if we look at habit 5, we need to seek first to understand and then to be understood. So, what this man can do is use habit 4 and think about win-win situations. So, I can see that we're approaching this situation differently. Why don't we agree to communicate until we can find a solution we both feel good about? Would you be willing to do that? No? Most people would be willing to do that. Of course, you wouldn't have to word it exactly like this, as formal as this, but you get the understanding. And then you might go into habit 5. Let me listen to you first. And this is where you seek to understand them. So in this situation, he does that. He comes and asks this guy. The guy says, "Look, I feel a bit claustrophobic if the window's not open. The air's stuffy in here and I just can't get my work done. I feel claustrophobic in here and I need to see the outside world or feel the outside world." And then this person asks the other man, "Why do you want the window closed all the time?" And he says, "Well, I have a lot of papers on my desk that needs to be all in order. And every time that the window is open, my papers keep flying everywhere. The breeze is blowing them around." So in this situation, it's much easier to find these alternative solutions to what they could do, right? Maybe the man could move his desk so that the breeze isn't affecting him, or they could set it up so that they put up a screen or something where the breeze won't be disrupting his papers. Only when they understand each other can they come up with these third alternative solutions. This habit is where it really ties together habits 4, 5, and 6. These ones really work together with each other. It says here for habit 6 is where you really understand their paradigm, really understand what it is that they want. And it says here that we work together to produce a third alternative solution to our differences that we both recognize are better than the ones either you or I proposed initially. And when you're coming up with these third alternative solutions, it's very important to go back to those emotional bank accounts that we spoke about earlier. If you've been investing in these emotional bank accounts, making lots of deposits, then these third alternative solutions, these win-win solutions, they're going to be much easier to negotiate. And the last insight that I got from this habit was to value the difference. Effective people understand their own perceptual limitations and learn how to benefit from diversity. So I want you to look at this picture. You may have seen it before, but if you haven't, look at this picture and just think about what you see. What can you see in this picture? 50% of you will see a young woman. The pretty young woman stared off to the side. The other 50% of you will see an old woman with a big nose and mouth and chin down the bottom. If I was to ask you who was right or wrong in this case, would there be a right and wrong? And the answer is no. So you can both be right. It just comes down to how you perceive the picture. So think about how you could apply this concept to your life. Think about things that you may be missing within your perception of reality. And that's what it refers to as your perceptual limitations. You need to learn how to benefit from diversity. So only when you open up to other people's perceptions of reality, only then are you able to better understand the world and see the things that you're limited by and see the things that you are missing. This is why it's so important to be developing these synergistic relationships. Anytime that you have a disagreement with someone, try to value the difference, try to understand them, and see if there are ways that you can use that difference to come up with better third alternative solutions. And lastly, these synergistic relationships. 1 plus 1 does not equal 2 in these synergistic relationships. 1 plus 1 is greater than 2. Could be 50, 100, 1,000. It could be exponential. So if we just quickly come back here to our maturity continuum habit, 4, 5, and 6 are what the author refers to as the public victory. Once you master these 3 habits, that's when you are ready for this phase of maturity, which is interdependency. Now let's jump into the last habit. Habit 7. Sharpen the Saw. The material in this book is designed to be a companion in the continual process of change and growth. So this habit is basically all about just making sure that you are always continuing to improve upon the habits and improve upon yourself. And he says that there are 4 main types of renewal. You have physical renewal, mental renewal, emotional and social renewal, and spiritual renewal. For me, physical renewal is things like going to the gym on a regular basis and making sure that I get exercise and I have the right nutrition. Mental renewal for me is things like reading books, listening to maybe TED Talks, making sure that I'm always improving and always stimulating my mind. The next is emotional and social. So that's things like your relationships, trying to deepen and grow your relationships on a continual basis. And lastly, for spiritual renewal, there are different things you can do, but I like to meditate in the mornings. I also like to do things like Tony Robbins, priming on the other occasion, which I find helpful. You can think of this last habit as like personal Kaizen. So if you're familiar with that Japanese philosophy of Kaizen, which is the continual improvement of something. Alright, let's do a super quick recap of everything we just went through in the video. To understand this first concept of paradigms, we all have different paradigms. Try to understand that we all perceive reality differently. A principles thinker doesn't think in tactics. Think about principles that will guide your life. Always be trying to put deposits into people's emotional bank accounts and be wary of making too many withdrawals from their bank accounts. Be a proactive person. Don't be a reactive person. You are a computer programmer. You need to write the program and don't live by someone else's program. Next, you want to be limiting the things that influence your circle of concern, things outside of your control. And what you want to be focusing on are the things within your circle of influence. Write yourself a personal mission statement. This document will outline your values and your principles and be a guiding document for your life. Don't put the things that matter most at the mercy of the things which matter least. You want to be living in these top 2 quadrants? Don't make the mistake of what most people do and live in these bottom 2 quadrants. Know your roles. Know the goals that you want to achieve for those roles and plan to hit those goals. Reverse engineer your life and systematize these roles. Next, we live in a subjective world. Make sure that you're seeking to understand first before you're understood. Value the difference and understand that in synergistic relationships, 1 plus 1 does not equal 2. And lastly, sharpening the saw. Make sure you're always continually improving your life through physical, mental, social, and spiritual means. Okay, I hope you guys got some great insights from this book. I will be making summaries like this one going forward in the future. So if you enjoyed this style, please subscribe to Quantum Habits. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good day.